Silence can feel peaceful until it starts to feel like punishment. In the beginning, it's quiet in the best way. You tell yourself, finally, no more fights. The storm has passed. The house is calm again. But the calm feels strange, too heavy, too cold, like someone turned off not just the noise, but the warmth. You sit next to each other, and yet it feels like miles apart. Every word feels dangerous, every question unwanted. You start to measure your tone, your pauses, your breath, because you've learned that in this silence, even softness can be punished. And so you wait. You wait for a look, a sigh, a single word that says it's safe again. But it never comes. Because in toxic relationships, silence isn't peace, it's control. It's how love slowly disappears without a single goodbye. The most painful words are the ones never spoken, because when someone chooses silence over truth, what they're really saying is, you no longer deserve to be understood. Silence can look peaceful, even wise. We mistake it for maturity, for emotional control. We tell ourselves, at least we're not fighting anymore. But sometimes, peace is just exhaustion wearing a mask. In toxic relationships, silence often comes after chaos. After the screaming, the crying, the begging, comes quiet. Not because there's understanding, but because one person has finally given up on being understood. This is how it begins, not with shouting, but with retreat. One person starts to speak less. They stop sharing what they feel, what they need, what hurts, and the other person calls it calm. But calm built on fear isn't peace, it's paralysis. It's the kind of silence that hums in the air, heavy with everything that's not being said. You can feel it in the pauses, in the half-answers, in the way eyes avoid meeting for too long. The space between you becomes crowded, filled with invisible tension, unsent messages, unspoken apologies. And yet, from the outside, it looks perfect. No drama, no noise, just two quiet people. But inside, one of them is slowly disappearing. Silence isn't always surrender. Sometimes, it's control disguised as calm. The one who withdraws first holds the power. They know your mind will start searching for answers, replaying every word, every look, every mistake. They know you'll blame yourself for the distance. And that's exactly what they want. In toxic dynamics, silence is rarely peaceful. It's punishment, a way to make you feel small, invisible, desperate to fix what you didn't break. You reach out, they don't respond. You apologize, even if you did nothing wrong. You start to beg for connection, not out of love, but fear. Because being ignored hurts more than being hated. This is how control works when it stops using words. It makes you crave attention like oxygen. And when you finally get a small dose of it, a message, a look, a tiny sign of affection, it feels like relief. That relief is what keeps you hooked. The silence becomes the cage, and the brief moments of warmth, the reward. It's not love, it's conditioning, a cycle of deprivation and reward, of speaking and being silenced, of losing your voice to protect the connection. The cruelest thing about silence is that it doesn't break you all at once. It drains you slowly, like a plant kept in the dark, still alive, but fading a little more each day. You stop feeling seen. You stop feeling real. When someone you love stops responding, it's like you begin to disappear from your own story. You start to doubt yourself. Maybe I'm asking for too much. Maybe I'm the problem. You rewrite reality to make the silence make sense. You lower your needs, your tone, your presence. You start walking on eggshells, not because you fear anger, but because you fear distance. This is emotional starvation, not the absence of love, but the constant presence of almost love, just enough to keep you hoping, never enough to make you safe. And so you shrink yourself, trying to fit inside someone's quiet. You confuse peace with numbness, calm with coldness, and patience with self-erasure. Carl Jung once wrote, "Loneliness does not come from being alone, but from being unable to communicate the things that seem important to you." That's what toxic silence does. It turns love into a language you're no longer allowed to speak. Before we continue, please take a moment to like this video. Your support helps more people discover these ideas. And if you're enjoying this journey into the mysteries of the mind, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. Now, back to the video. We don't stay because we enjoy the pain. We stay because once it wasn't painful. We remember the warmth that came before the silence, the laughter, the tenderness, the promises whispered in the dark. And a part of us believes it can return, if only we try harder, love softer, wait longer. That hope is what traps us. The same silence that hurts us also keeps us dreaming. Every quiet day feels like a test we might finally pass. We tell ourselves they just need space, that they're overwhelmed, that love sometimes needs distance. But deep down, we know it's not about space. It's about avoidance. It's about fear of accountability. It's about power disguised as peace. Still, we cling to the ghost of who they were. We replay their softness like an old song, hoping it will drown out the noise of absence. And maybe, most painfully, we stay because silence feels familiar. Some of us grew up in homes where love was quiet, where our needs were met with sighs, not answers. We learned to decode moods instead of words, to earn affection instead of receiving it freely. So when someone withdraws their voice, it doesn't feel strange. It feels like home. That's how the cycle repeats. We confuse discomfort with love and stillness with safety, until one day the silence becomes louder than any scream, and we realize it's not calm at all. It's loneliness dressed as loyalty. Healing doesn't always begin with noise. Sometimes it starts with a single sound, your own voice returning after being silent for too long. You start to whisper your truth, at first softly, then louder. You stop waiting for permission to speak and realize that love should never need to be earned through silence. Healing the quiet means learning the difference between peace and suppression, between solitude and isolation, between someone who gives you calm and someone who demands your silence to feel in control. It's understanding that healthy love communicates, even when it's hard, even when it hurts. Toxic love hides, avoids, disappears. When someone truly cares, they don't make you guess. They don't let you sit in the dark, wondering what you did wrong. So if the silence in your relationship feels heavy, listen to that weight. It's trying to tell you something. Because love shouldn't feel like holding your breath. It should feel like exhaling, a release, not a restraint. Sometimes, breaking the silence is not the end of love. It's the beginning of your freedom. Maybe that's the real lesson of silence. It teaches you to hear yourself again. When the noise of someone else's absence finally fades, you begin to recognize your own presence. The heartbeat you silence to keep their peace starts to sound like life again. And in that moment, you understand that love was never supposed to be quiet. It was meant to speak, to listen, to grow. So let the silence end with you. Speak your truth, even if your voice trembles. Because somewhere, someone needs to hear that love without communication isn't peace. It's just loneliness wearing a mask. If this video spoke to you, subscribe, give it a like, and share it with someone who needs to hear it. I really need your help to grow this channel. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.